There is a specific type of person who buys a Nissan Z, and that person has never once considered buying a sensible car. That tells you everything you need to know right there. We're not talking about someone who stumbled into a sports car by accident. We're talking about someone who walked past perfectly good sedans, ignored SUVs that would have made their life objectively easier, and chose a two-seat rear-wheel drive coupe that gets uncomfortable on road trips longer than 2 hours. That is a psychological profile, not just a purchase decision. The Z car has been around since 1969. That's not an accident of timing. Nissan built something that kept finding its people across generations, and the 350Z and 370Z are where that lineage got serious in the modern era. When the 350Z landed in 2003, it did something genuinely rare. It made performance feel accessible without making it feel cheap. That combination is harder to pull off than most automakers ever manage, and most of them never bother trying. Here's what nobody talks about when they talk about the Z community. The car attracts people who did the math, not engineers, necessarily. Just people who looked at what a Porsche Boxster cost, what a used Corvette cost, what a new Mustang GT cost, and then looked at the Z and thought, this makes sense. There is a very specific satisfaction in finding value that other people overlook. Z owners know that feeling personally, and most of them would never admit how much it matters to them. But it matters. It always has. Now, before we go further, you should know that this video is going to end somewhere that might surprise you. The thing that actually defines Z ownership is not what you think it is yet. So stay with this. The 350Z owner and the 370Z owner share most of the same DNA, but there are small tells that separate them if you look closely enough. The 350Z crowd skews slightly younger in spirit, even when they aren't younger in age. They bought into the revival. They were there when Nissan brought the Z back from the dead after the 90s hiatus, and that moment meant something to them personally. There is a loyalty there that borders on irrational, which is to say, it is exactly the right amount of irrational for a car purchase. The 370Z owner, on the other hand, tends to carry a quieter confidence about the whole thing. The 370Z arrived in 2009 with more power, a shorter wheelbase, and a more dialed-in package overall. The people who bought it already knew what the 350Z was and consciously chose the evolution. That's a different kind of statement. Less about joining a comeback story, more about knowing exactly what you want and getting it without needing anyone's approval. That distinction sounds small. It isn't. Both groups, though, share one defining trait that separates them from almost every other sports car community out there. They modify. Not because the car needs it, but because they genuinely cannot help themselves. And this is where it gets psychologically interesting in ways that go well beyond the garage. A Miata owner modifies for handling. A BRZ driver modifies for balance and corner exit feel. A muscle car guy bolts on horsepower, does a burnout in a parking lot, and considers the project essentially finished. The Z owner does all three of those things and then starts reading forums at midnight wondering if they should rebuild the entire suspension from scratch. The car invites this behavior. It's built with enough aftermarket support and enough room to grow that it stops being a car and starts being a long-term relationship with a very specific kind of chemistry. One that most people in their lives would find exhausting. Z owners find it energizing. The stock 350Z made 287 horsepower from a 3.5-liter V6. The 370Z pushed that number to 332 horsepower from a 3.7-liter engine. Neither figure is anything to apologize for. Both figures get quietly multiplied by Z owners who discover what a pair of turbos and a proper tune can do to an already willing platform. This is not bragging about hypotheticals. This is just what happens when you hand someone a solid foundation and they have too many free weekends and a functioning internet connection. What's interesting is that the Z community has never been about pure power rankings. You want pure power rankings? Go talk to someone with a Hellcat and a lot of opinions about it. Z owners tend to be more interested in the whole package, the balance, the feel, the way the car communicates with the driver at every speed. That's a different kind of enthusiast, and it attracts a genuinely different kind of person. But here is where the psychology gets genuinely complicated. And this is the thing I mentioned earlier that is going to reframe everything you've heard so far. Most Z owners don't actually drive their cars the way they imagined they would when they first bought them. They planned track days. They researched tire compounds like it was a college course. They watched lap videos from Laguna Seca and Tsukuba Circuit the way other people watch game film. And then life happened, and the Z became the car they drove hard on Tuesday mornings when traffic was light and the highway on-ramp gave them just enough room to really feel it. That's not a disappointment. That is the actual real-world use case, and the car delivers it perfectly every single time without complaint. This is what separates the Z from cars that require a lifestyle commitment just to justify owning them. You don't have to be a track hero to get everything this car has to offer. The reward is available in small, repeatable doses on regular roads, which means it never gets stale. A Ferrari demands that you perform ownership publicly. The Z fits into the life you already have and just quietly makes it better on the days you need it most. The 350Z generation caught something important in the cultural atmosphere of the early 2000s. Fast and Furious was making import performance culture impossible to ignore, even for people who had never cared about cars before. Initial D was building a mythology around Japanese sports cars that felt genuinely cinematic and romantic. The Z showed up looking like it had always belonged in that conversation, because historically it had. A lot of 350Z buyers were young then. Some of those same people are pushing 50 now. They kept the car, or sold it and bought another one later, and they remember precisely why they fell for it in the first place. That kind of brand memory is not manufactured. It's earned over decades. The 370Z generation arrived in a slightly different emotional climate. By 2009, the cultural novelty of the Z revival had settled into something more established and less loud. The people buying then weren't chasing a moment or aligning themselves with a movement. They were simply choosing a great car on its own individual merits. There is something quietly admirable about that kind of decision-making. Less romance, more clarity, same result. What both generations share is a relationship with the driving experience that is genuinely difficult to put into words for someone who hasn't felt it firsthand. The Z is not the fastest car in its class at any given point in history. It was never designed to be. What it is, consistently, is honest. The rear-wheel drive layout, the front-engine weight distribution, the steering that actually tells you something useful, these elements add up to a car that communicates with the driver in real time at every corner. You feel present. And feeling genuinely connected to a machine while it's moving fast is one of the oldest and most reliable pleasures this hobby has ever produced. Z owners understand this on some level, even if they've never said it out loud. They know it in their hands and their feet every time they drive. That's why the modifications keep accumulating over the years, not to fix something broken, just to deepen the conversation between themselves and the machine they chose on purpose. There is one final truth about Z ownership that explains the community better than any specification or lap time ever could. These are not people who needed external validation from strangers in parking lots. They didn't buy a Lamborghini or a loud American V8 with straight pipes and an existential crisis bolted to the hood. They bought something that rewards the people who actually notice it and politely ignores everyone else. The Z is a car for people who already know what they're looking at. And Z owners, without ever making a speech about it, carry a quiet and durable pride in being exactly that kind of person. That's the real psychological profile, not a show-off, not a pure pragmatist, not a weekend track rat chasing lap records. Something that sits between all three of those things, with enough self-awareness to find the whole situation a little funny and enough genuine passion to keep turning wrenches on a Saturday morning anyway. If you own a Z, and you're watching this right now, you already knew every single thing in this video. The only real question is whether you're willing to admit it down in the comments.